with the ongoing conversation about which preferred electoral system should be adopted or used in Sierra Leone's current constitutional review process, good governance, advocates and other stakeholders have expressed their concerns over these proposed call for citizens' voices to be heard on the case. Now, this morning we have legal practitioners. We have here Victor Lansana, who is coming from, of course, the Human Rights Commission. We're also expecting to be joined by Thomas Mokonte, who is not here yet. However, Victor is here with us. Good morning. It's a pleasure having you.
Good morning. Always a pleasure.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. A lot of people, I'm not sure they are quite, they quite understand the extent of these two systems. I mean, there's still a mix-up. The PR and the first past the post. In simple terms, what should we know about these two systems and how do they work generally?
I think that is the beginning of a discussion around this whole issue.
Indeed.
People have to understand what we mean by the PR system, first past the post.
Indeed.
So basically, the PR system is an electoral system in which elections are conducted based on proportion of people within a district. So that is where normally they also refer to it as the district block system.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, 2 or 3 or 4 political parties contest within, say, Bond district. Okay. So after the elections, after polls, all of the votes will be counted, and then those persons or political parties that contested, the vote will now be shared based on what they got. So what we used in 2023 was 11%. Okay, so the law says if you pull like 11% of the total vote cast, then you'll be entitled to a seat. Okay, so that means that any political party that will contest in a particular district will have to score or will have to pull 11%. Other than 11%, you will not have a seat. So that is the system that is referred to as the district block system. Conversely, there is the first past the post system. That basically means simple majority will win. It's not like a proportion of the vote. It is when, let's say, 1,000 electorates, they vote for party A or party B or Mr. A or Mr. X, and then Mr. X happens to pull, let's say, 600 votes. Or let's even say 900 votes. So basically, that person will be announced the winner of that elections. So that is simply, first past the post. Even if it's just one vote, you'll be declared the winner. So it's not like the proportional representation process or a form of election where it is the total number of registered voters as against the 11% that may have been provided for by the law. But then again, further to that, the next question is, do we have laws that really make provision for these two systems of electoral voting? Yes, of course. So we have the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone, Section 38, makes provision for constituency elections. Okay, constituency elections, like I've just said, it is the first past the post system. But then that section of the Constitution was amended. It was amended to now make room for the district block system. So there is indeed a legal basis for both systems of voting. And then in 2023, we also know that this was a matter that was before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court gave a ruling that yes, the district block system is a future, of our electoral system. It is part of our electoral system by that amendment I've just spoken about. Yeah. So yes, there are legal frameworks or legal provisions or securities in respect of these two systems of voting. The next question should be, what are the advantages and the disadvantages when you put the two together? So when you look at the district block system, a lot of people have argued and I agree that it really makes room for de-escalation of violence, and it makes governments to be able to save more when we have by-elections. So, for instance, ECSL will tell you that since 2023, when elections were conducted, today they have been able to save billions of leones, because if somebody dies, like we had recently, somebody, a member of parliament died he was representing Kenema district. That will have been the need for the pomp and pageantry. It will have been the need for the whole galaxy of politicians going to Kenema, to campaign. Sometimes the campaigns are really very fierce. We've heard over time about violence. We've seen violence, war at first hand. So the district block system really makes provision for the de-escalation of such a system, or of such a practice. On the other hand, the first past the post, the constituency-based system, one of the strongest arguments in favor of that is that you have a system where people have the opportunity to directly vote for their representatives. Okay, you come, you are representing your political party, people see you, they say, okay, this is the person that we need, this is the person that we want. Whereas the district block system, we developed the listing system where political parties present or submit lists to ECSL, and then those who maybe will have been within the first three, if let's say there's 3 seats or 4 seats within a particular district, those people will be the ones that will be representing that district. So when for the first past the post, when there is, for instance, death of a member of parliament, it will mean that ECSL will have to conduct another election, a fresh election wherein they will have to vote for another person. So that means that you'll have to go all over again to campaign. You have to raise resources from your own political party. Even the government, of course, will have to bear so much burden in terms of logistics, in terms of the funds to be able to conduct a by-election. And I've seen over time, how by-elections have been very, very violent in this country. So, these are the pros and cons, or the merit and demerit of these two systems. So whether we want, whichever we want, it's a really matter of looking at, over the years, we have actually practiced 2 of them. Okay, 1996, we practiced the block system. We came to 2000, we practiced the same. Of course, 2012, 2007, 2012, we have been practicing the first past the post. In 2023, we implemented also, we went back to the district block system. So we have to now look at what have been the merits, or what have been the gains that these two systems have really offered Sierra Leoneans. Have we got so much from the first past the post? We have been in this country for a very long time, and we've had how members of parliament, they have lost symbols under the first past the post, because their constituents will say, you have not been coming to us since we voted for you. You have never come back to us. You are only coming back to come and campaign because there is another elections, around the corner. So we'll see that even when people argue, yes, first past the post makes room for direct representation, people are able to choose their own representatives, but we have seen on the practical hand, where people who vote for these parliamentarians, who come to polling centers to vote, they have come back to say, oh, Mr. X was voted 5 years, within, he never came back to us. It is only now that he's coming back to come and campaign, whatever he has to campaign about. So it still begs the question whether indeed the district block system, the first past the post, has been really helpful to Sierra Leoneans. Again, of course, on the issue of the district block system, we've also used both of them. This district block system as well. We have to ask ourselves whether indeed it has been helpful. The only help we'll see there is that government is able to save money in terms of where there should have been a by-election. In this case, government doesn't have to raise resources. Even political parties or individuals representing political parties will not have to raise resources to be able to contest elections when there is a vacancy. So it is really a dialogue that we must approach based on past experience. We have seen, I mean, all of us, we have seen what we have gone through under these two systems over time, over the years, you know. So it should not be a motive discussion. It should not be a political discussion. Of course, it is it is within the realm of politics, but we should not look at it as one political party trying to gain favor or trying to gain, maybe get a much more seats or so, or edge over the other. It should be something that we should look at from a broad perspective, whether it has really helped Sierra Leoneans, whether it has changed the lives of the voters themselves. So when we approach this whole discussion, this whole debate, in that with that mentality, then I'm quite certain that to be able to look at what is best for Sierra Leone. And as it is, you know, we have been able to have the benefit of hindsight to see clearly that both systems, they have their challenges, they have their merits, and it is something that we must be able to consider which one is better. But I will tell you that the discussion, as a matter of fact, should not actually just be looked at from the perspective of the constituency. You know, the constituency level of voting or electoral system has been a very serious challenge, I know, of course. But then when you talk about the district block system, proportional representation, we must take it away, I mean, beyond parliament. Parliament, we know, are the people that represent Sierra Leoneans, they are lawmakers and so on and so forth. But then, away from parliament, Sierra Leoneans must be involved in the governance of the states. Sierra Leoneans must be able to identify themselves, you know, that this is our government. It's not the government of LCPP. LCPP may be the lead party. It can be APC that is leading the government. But Sierra Leoneans generally must be able to embrace the government. And how do you embrace the government to say, well, this is our government? It is when you have a lot of people across the board, you know, having an opportunity to be within governance, to be within the executive system itself. But other than that, you know, you continue to have several problems, you continue to have tensions. For a very long time, we have practiced the winner takes all. You know, that is, if you look at, in fact, the Human Rights Commission set of annual reports, SOHR, we have recommended several times that the first, you know, the winner takes all is a very problematic system. We have tried it since 1991, and it has not really given us the desired results. So we want to see where the proportional representation will be taken beyond parliament and replicated within the executive system or the executive arm of government, so that when a political party wins, you know, an election, you have to be able to get other parties that contested to recommend, suitable Sierra Leoneans who can serve in executive positions. By so doing, you really are able to lessen the tension, to de-escalate tensions, and get people to own up government, to say this is our government. And I mean, if we do so, I believe we'll be able to achieve a lot. We'll be able to achieve cohesion, national cohesion. We'll be talking about peace. You know, I mean, people will see that they own government. Okay. And I mean, for us as the commission, that is what we have been calling for. We must, as the states, we must, as the government, as the people, understand that what we have as a nation belongs to everybody. We must be able to cohabit, you know, in a peaceful way. We must be able to work together as a people, as a collective and team that is really poised to achieving a Sierra Leone where human rights is respected, where development is there. I mean, young people are able to get jobs. You know, education is really at its best. So all of these, you know, how do we get to all of those things? It is when we have a system where it embraces everybody. It embraces every shade of opinion. You know, so it should not just be about members of parliament or about parliamentarians. You know, it should go beyond that, so that we are able to get people on board, people who have brains, who have the technical know-how, who can really change things, not just limited to political parties. I know, of course, political parties have their technocrats, they have their technical people, but then also, if you open up, to other political parties, there it should not be like it is now. I mean, it is really discretionary for a president, for instance, to say, I'm going to appoint somebody from the opposition. But there should be a law that will be very, very clear that when you win an election, you must be able to incorporate other members of other political parties. So by so doing, this do or die thing in elections, I'm sure we really ease down. But as it is now, we see elections have become like the mainstay. People believe that if their party is not in power, they will not succeed in life. If their party is not in power, they will not be able to make money. So we have to be able to really address that. That is where the tension begins. And that is why people do anything and everything to make sure that their parties come to power. So we must, as a state, agree that proportional representation should not just be limited to parliament. It should go beyond parliament and replicate it within the executive arm of government.
A lot of people, not least the APC, the main opposition, are arguing that, the PR system leaves room for speculation. A lot of people voted on symbols, not faces of the actual reps. So, in one of my OIV on 20 programs, it was a month ago or so, someone was arguing that, oh no, right from Texaco to Kutanwood here, there are no MPs in a lot of these places just because of the PR system. Do you think that's a solid argument?
When you ask
and there are others who are clustered in areas, like 3 or 4, parliamentarians in one constituency.
So when you ask the question, I just recall in 2007, but then I was still a teacher.
Okay.
A colleague of mine, a colleague teacher, remember this 444
yes,
thing?
444.
Yes. So that guy went to vote. He voted for member of parliament. He voted for councillor, of course, for the president. And I think that was the fourth one. So then he came to say, when we were in school, we were discussing how the elections went. The guy said, as an educated man, I did not know the people that I voted for. Apart from the candidate, the presidency. The rest, he has never seen them, he has never interacted with them, he doesn't know them. So he was actually like regretting that, what kind of thing is this? I should have been able to, because I'm educated, I should have been able to interact or interrogate these people, to know what their policies are, what their plans are. So even under the first past the post, the constituency-based system, we have seen several times people only vote for the symbols of political parties and not necessarily the individual. Several times we have voted for symbols of political parties, not knowing the person that is standing for that political party. So I'm not sure that is really a tenable argument, because for our experience, we have been here for the longest of time. We have gone through elections, and I'm sure that people still vote based on political symbols and not necessarily for an individual. I remember, long time ago, very, very long time ago, I think it was in 2007 or so, at Fobe, I think it was Navo. Navo was standing to be elected as a member of parliament. He had done a lot of things for that community. Development programs. He actually went to them, to that community. The entire constituency. But Tuneli, when he came from America, he was able to spend some amount of money, few monies, with the political party that he was representing. He bought the ticket, and then he was given the symbol. And then the elections came. He was voted as against this man who has been on the ground for a very long time, bringing in development programs, very visible, yet they did not vote for him simply because he was not standing under that political party. So we have seen, the examples there are a plethora of examples. We will not exhaust them if we say we are going to spend the whole of the day here.
On that note, which do you think is the lesser evil? Which works best for us? PR or first past the post?
Yes, I think the lesser evil is really the district block system.
Okay.
Like I've said already, it saves money for political parties. It saves money for individuals representing political parties during by-elections. Of course, it saves money for government. Government will use that money that they will have used to conduct a by-election on something else, on some other developmental programs. So I think the lesser evil is really the district block system.
Your opposition thinks it disadvantages them.
Okay, so
That's what they've been arguing over
yes,
time, that they don't want to use the PR.
You see, the problem we have a long-standing mistrust, between and among political parties, and even governments and citizens. I mean, citizens don't trust their governments. Political parties are always apprehensive of each other because they know what normally they do, behind the scenes. So that is why you would actually, understand why the opposition would think that it disadvantages them, and we think that government has a plan or something. So it's because of the mistrust. We have to have a situation where, everything is transparent. What we say, we mean it. Our programs are for the vulnerable people. Our programs are for the less privileged people in society. It's for everybody, so that it doesn't matter who really is in power, who leads. Government within a particular period. What really matters is that they are able to serve everybody. And opposition parties in other countries, they are like government in waiting. They should be able to provide comprehensive policy programs, or documents that they are able to get people to understand that if we were there, if we were the ones that we are leading, these are the alternatives that we may have provided. And how do we provide it? All of that should be in their policy documents that they'll be able to actually sell out there to people. But unfortunately, in our own country, we have, over time, political parties in which, they merely come out to say, no, we don't agree with this, that is all. But there is no systematic, there is no program, there is no document that they will provide that this is our own policy, this is the way in which we think that we'll be able to govern in a better way. You have to have statistics to say, okay, for instance, on this issue of first past the post, give us a policy document, a policy advisory. Let us see it, let us read it, so that we're able to inform ourselves as voters, as citizens generally, to say, yes, I think we can agree with this political party, because what they have presented, the alternative they have presented, is better, is much more, if you like, attractive or lucrative than what the government in power is proposing. So there should be a comprehensive, that is what, other political parties across, the developed world, that is what they do. Because they see themselves as a government in waiting. And in government in waiting, you don't have to wait until you are pronounced a winner of an election. Before even then, you have to have everything in place. You have to have even a shadow cabinet, for instance. Let us see who are those people that you think can better serve the country. So that Sierra Leoneans will see clearly to say, I can side with you. It doesn't matter, the political party. I can side with you just because of this person that I believe has the capacity to be able to change the country, has the capacity to bring development to the country or to whatever district or constituency that it belongs or it belongs. So these are the ways I believe we can really better approach governance in a country. But unfortunately, this piecemeal way of criticizing, this piecemeal way or haphazard way of throwing out policies that government will present. I'm not sure it's really. It's not so much comprehensive. At least for want of a better expression, we must be able to approach our governance with the seriousness it deserves. So that people will see that we are serious about leading. It's very important. We have suffered for a long time. Sierra Leone, we have a long history of suffering, whether it's slavery, colonial rule, one-party state, 11-year civil carnage. That actually. Left over 50,000 people dying, properties destroyed, institutions being destabilized. So we have a lot, we have gone through a lot. And we must be able, at this time, to make sure that we look at the bigger picture and agree as the people that this is the way we want to go. And that is why, in fact, I have called severally for a national development conference. We have had Bintumani 1, Bintumani 2, Bintumani 3. All of those conferences have been really about peace and peace building. I agree, of course, there cannot be development without peace. But then we have not paid so much attention to development. Let us have a Bintumani 4, where all of us will go, Sierra Leoneans will go and decide on the kind of development that they want to see. what trajectory of development they want the country to develop, so that it doesn't matter who comes to power. Okay, it doesn't matter the political party that leads government, they must be able to follow. If you are a politician, if you are a flag bearer, if you are a political party, all what you need to do once we have agreed on our national development agenda, it is for you to show us, if you have a manifesto, how do you intend, the how aspect is what you should address in your policy document, in your manifesto, to say this is the way I intend to achieve program A, program B, program C under the national agenda. But this issue of, every time we have a new government, it's like we are going back to the drawing board, we are starting all over again, governments, successive government to come and say, oh, what I meant, there was nothing, we are starting all over again. It's not really good for our governance. So we have to have a means to money for where national development agenda will be agreed upon, and it will go to Parliament. Parliament will pass it. It becomes part of the body policy of our system, so that anybody who is at the White House, at State House, will always follow that national document. So that we move from, this whole issue of, look, it's not just about elections. Life is not just about elections. We have, if you look at the population of Sierra Leone, let's say 8 million people. How many million people will actually vote in an election? How many? It doesn't even, I'm not sure, it's not even 50% of the population that will vote. First of all, children will not vote. Okay, anybody below the age of 18 will not vote. Okay, many people who may have, the old, many of them, they don't have time to go and vote. Of course, those who are behind bars normally do not vote. So we have few people deciding the fate of Sierra Leoneans. So it should not just be about elections. Election is just one of the means, at least to express our desire as to who should govern us or who should lead us. Okay? But beyond elections, we must be able to talk about development. Unfortunately, in our country, every other day is politics. Every other day is election. Election was national elections. We conducted in 2023. This is 2025. Every day since then, we have been talking about 2028 elections. We have been talking about 2028 elections. We are not really paying so much attention on development. So we must, we are recommending that we must have another Bin 23 where we'll go and agree on a national development agenda that will be legislated, that any other political party that comes to governance will use at any time. We use always. It should be the Bible. We have 3 categories of human rights. We have the civil and political rights. That is the first generation of rights. We have the economic, social, and cultural rights. That is the second generation of rights. We have the development rights. So you see that we have so much neglected the second and third categories of human rights. And that is where we are calling on governments, politicians, political parties, opposition, what have you, to make sure that they pay so much more attention to the second and third generations of rights. Because that is what really, that gives you that dignity to be able to fend for yourself and your family, to be able to feed your family. We have done much more. We have done well as a country. We have been able to transition from one political party to the other. About 4 or 5 elections since the end of the war. We are doing well in civil and political category of rights, but that's second and third generation is really, these are the areas that we really have to pay attention to. So much noise about politics, about elections, so on and so forth. Every day, each time. Right now, we are talking about 2028 elections. For goodness sake, why can't we really pay attention to development issues? It's only about voting and voting and voting. And again, in addition to the issue of having a national development agenda, we are also proposing for us to have a transitional document. It has been so chaotic when we have elections in this country. Elections take place today. We swear in the next president. The next president begins to act. Of course, later on we have the swearing ceremony of the president. But you see, in many cases, people run away from their residents. They run away from their districts, from their regions. And so much chaos. We see people going, opposition members, they will go to or I mean, those who have won the elections, they will go to other politicians, other political parties. They will vandalize their premises and so on and so forth, because it's so chaotic. Even at the pinnacle of governance, you will see that there has not been any proper handing over, from one ministry to the other. The past minister handing over to the new minister. It has not been the case. So there's so much chaos in transitioning from one political party in governance to another one that is taking over governance. So we must have a transitional document that should be legislated, that every new government, every new political party in power should be able to follow. That should be clearly spelled out. I agree. I understand that one of the recommendations, that the president has actually accepted from the CRC is to have a static date, is a very predictable date, a clear date for elections. And of course, once that happens, we were able to understand that even the issue of whether a president in power intends to extend his term limits or so on, that will be addressed. But that area of transition, that should be a separate document that should spell out how we transition, how we pass on power from one political party in governance to the other, so that we have a very cohesive and coherent way. We have a coherent way in doing it. As it is now, it's so chaotic, and it really adds to the tension, it adds to the bickering, it adds to the political divide that we have witnessed over time. You see, so we are really strongly recommending these two issues. Get a national development agenda and get a transitional document that will guide every party that is in power.
Much of the 52 recommendations in terms of this document
center around reforms, generally in Sierra Leone, not much about, electoral system that should be used or not. What I wanted to ask you, which of these units is more crucial at this time? Choosing the electoral system or fixing electoral reforms around elections in Sierra Leone generally? The discussion has been actually about either PR or first past the post, but there are electoral problems we have in this country since independence. A lot of issues around the electoral body itself that conducts the election, and this document speaks to all of those things, fixing those things. Much of them are electoral reforms.
I remember when Dr. Samuel Kamara was calling for external people to come and conduct our elections. So it tells you how deep-seated is the mistrust, within politicians, the political class. But we can do all of these things together. Okay? What has been happening is that we are not really prioritizing what should be prioritized, and so I believe that going forward, whilst we discuss electoral reforms, we should also discuss the electoral system that we should adopt as a country. Both of them are really very important, but for us, over and above the electoral system, over and above reforms in the electoral system, I think we should really also discuss development. How do we get opposition members of all our political parties participating in bringing development, in government? We have a situation where the burden is so much on government. Everybody's about government. Everybody's about government. Even, as citizens generally, you are within your community. You take your rubbish. You put it. You dispose it. Through the waterway. And when there is now we're having this heavy downpour, and flooding takes place around your community. So it's always we also have to call government, to blame government. But we, as the people, as citizens generally, we don't even know that the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the country, places so much obligation. It places obligation on us to be very responsible citizens. If you look at Section 13 of our Constitution, which I will always call on Sierra Leoneans to read, it provides for duties of a citizen, so that citizens are patriotic, citizens are law-abiding, they don't take the laws into their hands. Just as Section 5 of the Constitution places obligation on government, it says the welfare and security of the people of Sierra Leone rest on the shoulders of government. It is the same way that it says, the Constitution says under Section 13, that citizens have a duty to make sure we have development, whether it's about being law-abiding, whether it's about bringing up your children in the best way they should go, it's there in the Constitution, whether it is, being patriotic, making sure that, for instance, if you are employed within a government institution, you take care of government property. If you are a student, government is providing books for you. You don't misuse the books. You don't sell the books. All of these form part of patriotism. So both governments and citizens, the governed and the governed, there is a provision for both of them to make sure that we have a country that is fit for purpose, a country that will cater for everybody. If we all actually, governments, they are alive to their responsibilities. Citizens also are alive to their responsibilities. I'm sure we'll be able to have a better country. Sierra Leone is a very peaceful country. It's a very good country. It's a very nice country. The only thing is that we have not been able to harness our natural resources, because of how people, are so in haste to become rich overnight. Right. Several things. Cronyism and nepotism. These things, they have really been responsible for the backward state of Sierra Leone. But we have brains, we have people, we have the resources, natural resources. How do we harness those resources? Has been a problem. So that is why I want us to have a national blueprint to development, so that we see, everybody knows that this is the way we have decided as the people. The Okada rider should have a voice, on the table. The market woman should have a voice on the table. Everybody, we all come together to say this is how we want our country to go. Right. So that if you don't play your own role, you have yourself to blame.
Let me close off with you, Victor. So we've discussed nearly everything this morning, but one thing stands out quite clearly, which I would like to ask as my final question. What changes do you think we should discuss now that would positively impact the next election to come? Basically reforms or, changes that would see a better electoral system in Sierra Leone, not necessarily how people vote, but generally acceptability of results, fairness, cohesion, and all of these things. We've seen a lot of tension of late.
Yeah, the issue of reform is not a one-day thing, so it's continuous. So what has to be really discussed is the issue of trust.
Okay.
Trust and transparency. We must be able to trust the system. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, it is we, as citizens, as Sierra Leoneans, that will continue to lead ourselves, that will continue to conduct our elections.
Okay.
So we must be able to create a system that is transparent, and we must be able to trust our systems. We must be able to trust people. But these days, just because I believe or I think that you identify yourself with party A or party B, no matter what you say, I will discredit. I'm not sure that should be the way to go. Let us, judge people by what they do, and we have to trust our systems. These systems are there for us to use. Let us exhaust these systems. Right. The issue of taking the laws to our hands, or the issue of, inciting violence, inciting war, because I've been following some politicians that they've started even inciting violence for elections that is, way in 2028. I'm not sure that is the best way to go. That is not the way to go. We have fought in this country. We have lost lives. I'm not sure anybody wants to go back to those dark days. Okay. We lost over 50,000 lives. So let us build our institutions. Let us build strong people who have integrity. Let us appoint the right people in the right positions, so that they are able to really, do what their mandate calls for. Right. Otherwise, we'll continue to have these discussions. So again, I will leave. Viewers, and particularly to the government and opposition members. Let us really discuss development. How do we want our country to develop from now on going forward? Okay. We must be able, first of all, to have a Bintumani 4 and develop a national blueprint on development. We must also have a document that speaks to transition, so that we have a coherent way to transition from one political party to the other. Okay. And that national document I'm calling for, the development agenda, it is what every political party should use, no matter who's in power. You can have your manifesto to tell us how you intend to achieve the national agenda on development. That's fine, but nobody should be able to alter that document except Parliament. Right. So that is what we are calling for, and that is the way to go.
Bintumani 4, thank you very much indeed. Vice Chairperson, Human Rights Commission, Sierra Leone, Victor Lansana Esquire. We're also expecting Thomas Mokonte, who, well, didn't show up, but we'll try to get him subsequently to hear his own side of the conversation. He's a civil society activist who's also been, quite vocal about the particular system that Sierra Leone should employ moving forward to 2028. But this is where we'll end today's edition of the show. It's been Wake Up Sierra Leone, waking all of you up this morning from wherever you've been watching us from. We'll say thanks very much indeed to our sponsor, OKL Commercial Bank, for their timely support to this program. And to you, our audience, we cherish and appreciate your time as always. My name is Victor Jones. Keep watching the AYV for more programs. Goodbye.